Hey guys, it's Ash here with Gamers Compete, and this is going to be part 2 in our basics video for the Overwatch Complete start to finish video series, where we're going to be covering everything from basics of frame rate to how to climb with every hero and the details of every hero. So we went over previously how to try to get the best steady frame rate you can get and that your monitor can support. And so now I wanted to go ahead and go over another basic thing, and that people greatly overlook, and that's going to be the crosshair. So my personal, you can see my DPI and such, but or not my DPI, my sensitivity, but my crosshair, this is the personal crosshair that I prefer. I use the light green just because it's a color that stands out. It's a bright color, but you could use any color. You can use magenta. I personally don't use it because I have the enemy color set to red, so it makes it a little hard to see the crosshair. It's not incredibly hard to see, but it's enough that it could cause maybe a second of confusion, and you don't want to have to deal with that. So you could do like a light blue, and that would work a little bit better with the red enemies, but it really depends. The color depends on your personal settings, what color you have the enemy set to. So I prefer green just because I have blue and red as the colors. Show accuracy, I always recommend to have off, because when you don't have it off, you've got this big circle that changes and varies. You can have it on for some characters if it helps you, but you really want a consistent crosshair. So all my crosshairs, actually, you can use like you want to have the smallest crosshair possible. So you can use a dot and have it set to just a dot.
Double kill. Triple kill.
But you want to take up as small of a space on your screen as possible while still being able to see your crosshair.
Double kill. Triple
so
kill.
Theoretically you could run it something like, oh, it didn't change. You could run it something like this technically if it suited you. But the reason you want to reduce the size of your crosshair is the smaller your crosshair is, the more of your screen you can see. So you'll see people suggest a dot or just a basic crosshair that's small, something like this. Something small like this you'll see people run with.
Double kill. Triple kill.
I personally don't use the crosshairs, I use just the circle, and the reason for that is, and I hollow out the inside, but the reason for that is, so now I have a small, almost like the dot crosshair where it takes up almost no space, but also if I'm really far away, here let me see if I can show you from here, so if I'm really far away and I can kind of see that red through the crosshair a little bit more, as opposed to the dot where it would just be a solid crosshair. So sometimes when there's really small holes, I can't think of any, but like if it's a really small hole, you can kind of get a better view with the dot than you could with a, or with a circle than you could with a dot, sorry.
Unworthy. Double kill.
So that's my personal preference, but I do highly encourage you to get the smallest crosshair you can play with comfortably and use, because you don't want something, I see a lot of people play with crosshairs something ridiculous like this, and that's just like, it takes up so much space on your screen I can't even see the enemy I'm trying to aim at, and that's just kind of ridiculous. And that's without it being 100% opacity. Anyways, that is really it as far as crosshairs go. You just kind of want to keep it small. You want to keep it a bright color that you can see that's not going to confuse you, because that second of hesitation
Double kill.
can cause you
Triple
to
kill. Quadruple kill.
have a second of
Quintuple kill.
mistakes or doubt, even if it's just half a second. It could cause you to miss the shot.
Quintuple kill.
And of course, I use the same crosshair for every character. So I'm Hanzo right now. You can see I've got the same. You've got this little crosshair. But if I go to Genji, it's the same thing. If I go to Ashe,
My business, my
if I go
rules.
to Roadhog, so that way it builds consistency. I can go to Baptiste, it's a dot still. And of course, maybe some people aren't going to be comfortable with it, all their characters being a dot. Maybe they need something a little bit different. But I found that using the same consistent dot on every character really helps just to build the comfort. So when I aim with a character, aiming for every character feels the exact same. I might use different aim styles. So for McCree, for example, I might flick, and with Hanzo I might track.
With every death comes
But
honor.
either way, I'm using the same crosshair,
Redemption.
so it's not,
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
I don't know, it just kind of builds consistency with Tracer. I've got the same aim mechanic. I'm just tracking, but the crosshair never changes, so I don't have to worry about kind of changing how my head works with the crosshair, I guess, if that makes sense.
With every death comes honor.
Double
With honor.
Now, with
redemption.
someone like Reinhardt, technically you don't need a crosshair, so I could say no crosshair and just have, you know, zero crosshair and just kind of swing at the enemy. But I personally leave it on just because I find that it kind of just helps just a little bit with farther fire strikes. So when you're trying to do like those fire strikes from across the map. But yeah, that's basically it for crosshairs.